Today's lesson is called Your Apps May Know More About You Than You Think. Day 2. Hi everyone, my name is Jeff.
I am Roger, and today we're talking about the dark side of apps. They may know more about you than you think they do. We all like our apps. They're incredibly useful, but sometimes we just let these apps get information because we don't want to bother reading the terms and agreement page. It's too bloody long. Who wants to read that? Let me just click the I agree box there and move on. But maybe you may have inadvertently given them permission to access your camera or to get personal information and then give it to a third party.
Yeah, these apps, some of them sound evil, and I said that jokingly on day 1, that these are evil apps that could steal your life. Well, these apps, some of them are evil, most are not. And yeah, an app can't steal your life, but an app most definitely, apparently, can steal your personal information. And I don't want this to happen. I don't want an app to know my email address or my physical address or what my name is or what my wife's name is. I wouldn't want this app to have access to my camera. Maybe the app could take a picture of me. Then they would know what I look like, where I live, and what my email address is. They would know everything about me, and that sounds scary. So I don't want this to happen. So the next time I download an app, I will definitely be reading the terms and conditions page before I click I agree. I'm not going to let an app to get the best of me. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break. But don't go away. When we come back, we'll start reading from day 2 of an article called Your Apps May Know More About You Than You Think.
While it's possible that companies or app developers won't do anything with your information once it's collected, it is often sold to marketers or used to develop new apps. So, if your personal information and privacy are important to you, consider following these simple tips to help protect yourself.
大家好，今天第一个单字我们看到的是 developer。这个字当作名词，代表新产品的开发者、研制者的意思。例如 Janet is a developer of the new launched game. Janet 是新发行的游戏的研发者。
Okay, everybody, remember last time we kind of asked the question, why would they need my personal information? I'm just a regular, ordinary guy. I don't spy for the Soviet Union or something like that. Why would somebody want my personal information? But here it says, while it's possible that companies or app developers won't do anything with your information once it's collected, it is often sold to marketers or used to develop new apps. So that's why they need your information. Maybe they're going to sell it to marketers or they're going to sell it to a third party or something like that because I guess your information is useful there. And still it says here, while it's possible or it is true that companies or app developers won't do anything with your information once they get it, they might think it's not particularly useful. That's possible. It certainly is possible that they won't use the information, but still it is often sold to marketers. A marketer, of course, is somebody who's trying to find a market for their products. They're trying to develop a product to figure out something that would sell and where to sell it and when to sell it. That's all about marketing, using advertising and research and things like that to figure out where you can make some money.
Yeah, a marketer, everyone, big surprise. A marketer is a person who works in marketing. And yeah, marketing is the business of promoting, advertising, and selling things to people. And yeah, marketing, it's like a science. You have to do a whole lot of research when you are marketing to figure out what people want and the way they buy things, how often they buy things, what they like, so on, so forth. So the information that these apps kind of inadvertently gather, marketers want this information. If they have this information, they're going to know how some of their customers behave, what they buy, when they buy it, what they like, when they want these things, if that follows a pattern. So these marketers want it. It's valuable for that reason. Now, do I like this? No. But I also feel okay right now. One piece of information about one customer isn't going to be worth anything to a marketer. You're going to have information about thousands and thousands or maybe even millions of people. So at that point, I kind of feel okay. If these people are gathering this information and I'm but one person amongst millions, that's going to make me pretty safe and anonymous. These marketers aren't coming for me. They don't want to steal my life. They just want to know how I act as a consumer. So there you go. You can rest assured some of these apps aren't totally evil. Anyways, before we move on, let's talk about what developers are. We just talked about marketers. Marketers work in marketing. Well, a developer is slightly different. A developer is someone who develops something. They might work in the area called development, but we won't go down that path right now. Yes, a person who develops something is called a developer. And yes, if you develop something, you make something, often by refining that thing or modifying that thing.
Right, so maybe they find that there's a certain need in society for a certain application, and there's no other application out there, so they collect information. They figured, oh yes, people will really need this kind of information. They'll need this kind of app. So they get together, they have meetings, they have software engineers write up the programs, and they develop the program so that they can present it and they can sell it to advertisers, or they can sell advertising on the actual application itself and make some money. But in any case, if you want to protect yourself and you just don't want anybody to get access to your pictures or get access to your personal information, we've got some steps here. So consider following these simple steps to help protect yourself and keep those people out of your smartphone. Let's find out what some of this advice is all about. Let's move on now to the second part of our lesson.
First, always read the Terms and Conditions page. If you're uncomfortable with sharing any of the information an app wants, don't download it. Next, exercise caution if you decide to download apps from websites or unknown sources. All Google and Apple apps are required to inform users of what information they will access, but apps downloaded elsewhere may not be held to the same level of transparency. Finally, only keep apps you actually use. Deleting unused apps from your phone helps reduce the chances of your information being stolen.
第二部分我们看到的单字是 caution， 这个字当作名词，它有谨慎、小心或是慎重的意思。所以我们可以说 Walk with caution on the wet floor so you don't slip and hurt yourself. 谨慎地走过湿滑的地板，这样你就不会滑倒受伤。再来我们看到的单字是 delete， 这个字当作动词，代表删除、删去的意思。例如 I deleted the old movie in this folder. 我删除这个资料夹中的旧电影。
Everyone, if your personal information and privacy are important to you, consider these following simple tips. First of all, always read the Terms and Conditions page. I'm going to do it from now on, and you should too. Yes, if you're uncomfortable with sharing any of the information an app wants, don't download it. Don't download that app. Now, next. Okay, that was the first part. Number 2, exercise caution if you decide to download apps from websites or unknown sources. So yes, maybe you might want an app that you can't find on the App Store, let's say, but you still want it. Well, if you do download that app, be careful. Exercise caution if you download an app like this. Why? Because in the App Store, they have all sorts of procedures, let's say, to vet certain apps to make sure that they are safe. If you go outside of the App Store or something like the App Store, you are putting yourself at risk for evil apps. So, exercise caution with these so-called evil apps. Now, what's caution, everyone? Caution is the state of being careful or conservative so as to not make errors or mistakes.
Exercise caution or simply be careful. And do this or be careful, exercise caution when you download apps from websites other than the App Store or the Play Store for Android devices, I believe it's called. Or if you download them from unknown sources, you got to be extra careful there. I guess I'm safe there because all the apps on my phone have been downloaded from the Play Store. I wouldn't dare download them from other places, and basically I wouldn't know how to do that. But in any case, let's move on to the next sentence here. It says, all Google and Apple apps are required to inform users of what information they will access, but apps downloaded elsewhere may not be held to the same level of transparency. So yes, if you're using Google apps or you're going to the Apple store there, those companies are required to tell the users or to inform them what information you're giving them, okay? It's not going to be a big secret there. They'll be upfront about that. So you probably shouldn't worry too much if you're getting your apps from Google or from Apple. But if you download them someplace else, if you download those apps elsewhere, then those places will not be held to the same level of transparency. Be held to means they are required to do this. In other words, they may not be required to have that same level of transparency. And, well, transparency comes from the adjective transparent, which means you can see through it. So if a company is transparent, they're letting everybody know how they're conducting business and they're not keeping any secrets.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this term, the term transparency. It's a term referring to a company or a government even whose affairs are clear and known of by the public. Okay, yeah, you could say something like this. With transparency comes trust. Yes, if a company or a government displays transparency, people are going to trust that company or that government. And yes, all Google and Apple apps are required to inform users of the information that they'll access. Okay? Google or Apple makes these apps do this. They have to do it. They must do it. This is necessary. If you want to put your app on the App Store or on Google Play, you are required to do this. This is totally necessary. But yes, if you go out of those environments, out of those websites, okay, if you go elsewhere, the apps that you download might not be held to the same level of transparency. That is, outside of Google Play or the App Store, these apps, they're not necessarily going to be made to comply or to adhere or to agree to the same things that these apps would have to agree to on Google Play or on the Apple Store, okay? Now, if you are held to some level, by the way, you're expected to act in that way. And if you do put your app on Google Play or if you put your app on Apple, the App Store, I should say, for Apple and Google expect you to act in a certain way. But like we said before, once you leave these environments, all bets are off. No one is going to hold you to the same standard that you'd have to comply to if you were on Google Play or on the App Store. Now, finally, this is the last tip for now. Finally, only keep apps you actually use. Yeah, deleting unused apps from your phone helps reduce the chances of your information being stolen. And yeah, here I think we all know what the word delete is, or what it means, I should say. To delete something is to remove something. Yeah, to delete something is to remove something from somewhere completely without leaving a trace. Yes, if you delete an app from your phone, that app is gone forever.
Okay, let's move on now to the third and final portion of our article for today. We'll listen first.
Of course, governments should also be responsible for protecting user information. In some places, such as the European Union, privacy laws are detailed and strictly enforced with hefty fines slapped on companies that break them. On the other hand, in Canada, there are very few privacy protection laws. Companies are not even required to inform the public about data breaches. Just like mobile technology, the methods of protecting your information have to be constantly updated. By staying educated and aware, everyone can minimize the privacy risks that apps pose.
第三部分我们看到的单字是 enforce， 这个字当作动词，它有强制实施法律或是规定的意思。例如，写法条是一回事， 要警察执法又是另一回事。英文可以这么说 Writing a law is one thing, having police to enforce the law is another. 再来我们看到的单字是 update， 这个字当作动词，它有更新或是向点点点提供最新资讯的意思，所以我们可以说 Ted updated the operating system on his smartphone. Ted 更新他的智慧型手机的作业系统。接下来我们看到的单字是 educated， 这个字当作形容词，代表受过教育或训练的或是有教养的意思。例如我们可以从那名讲者的演说中知道他有受过高等教育。英文可以这么说 From his speech, we can know that the speaker is highly educated. 今天最后一个单字我们看到的是 minimize， 这个字当作动词，它有使减少到最低限度、最少或是对点点点轻描淡写的意思。例如 Many scientists believe that reducing the usage of fossil fuels will minimize harm to the environment. 许多科学家认为减少使用化石燃料可将对环境的伤害降到最低。
Now, Roger, before the break there, I started thinking, wait a minute. Why is it always the consumer that has to do these things? Aren't there any watchdogs out there to help us out? Can't the government help us now and again?
They might be able to, but still we've got to help ourselves. We've got to protect ourselves. Governments, as you know, are unreliable, and we can't always trust them. Now, of course, governments should also be responsible for protecting user information. Most of us expect that. Why do we pay taxes? So we do expect this from our governments, but as you know, we can't always expect them to protect us 100%.
Unless you happen to live in the European Union. Yeah, in some places, such as the European Union, privacy laws are detailed and strictly enforced with hefty fines slapped on companies that break them. So, yeah, I might just move to Europe. This is sounding pretty good. It sounds like they've got functioning governments there in European unions to protect consumers like us. Anyways, before we move on here, to enforce something is to back up a law. If you enforce a law, you do what is necessary to make sure that that law is neither broken nor ignored. Now, how do governments in the European Union enforce their laws? Well, sometimes they slap hefty fines onto companies that break these laws. Now, here we've got the word hefty. The word hefty means large and or heavy. And yes, if you slap something onto a company or someone, yeah, you're basically giving that company or that person a penalty. You're kind of serving them a legal notice of some kind.
Right there, giving them those fines forcefully. So these fines are slapped on companies. They are presented to those companies if they break those laws. So, of course, they need to enforce the laws, and they have the hefty big fines. On the other hand, in Canada, there are very few privacy protection laws. I'm kind of surprised by that. I thought Canada was a very progressive country, but I guess they're not as progressive as the European Union here. They don't have a lot of privacy protection laws.
Yeah, on the other hand, in Canada, there are very few privacy protection laws. Yeah, companies are not even required to inform the public about data breaches. How about that? And yeah, here we're not talking about the word beach. Beaches are great and awesome. Breaches are terrible. A breach is a break in something that has often resulted from an attack of some kind. Yeah, here, a breach is kind of like a violation, and that's not a good thing. Anyways, we've got one paragraph to go, so let's start wrapping things up. Just like mobile technology, our article continues, the methods of protecting your information have to be constantly updated. Now, before we move on, we have the verb update to talk about. If you update something, you bring that thing up to date. You correct, amend, or add things to something old in order to make that thing new and current and modern again.
Right, you need to back up your information perhaps to external hard drives or up to the cloud or something, and you've got to be constantly updating all your information, getting the latest versions and stuff like that. And by staying educated and aware, everyone can minimize the privacy risks that apps pose. So you need to stay educated. You need to know what's out there, what's happening out there. Listen to the news, read news reports on the internet, and just keep track of these different things going on out there. So stay educated And also be aware, stay aware, never let your guard down, because in any case, if you do these things, you can minimize the risks that these apps pose. So if you minimize something, you reduce something to its lowest possible amount.
There you go. Stay educated, everyone. Keep your knowledge of the world current and keep what you know up to date. Stay educated. Stay on top of things education-wise. Learn new things even if you have to. And yes, like Roger said before, to minimize something is to make something smaller. You reduce that thing as much as is possible. All right, folks, with that, it is time for us to take a break. But don't worry, the Chinese teacher is waiting in the wings.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第3部分有一个句子是 In some places, such as the European Union, privacy laws are detailed and strictly enforced, with hefty fines slapped on companies that break them. 在一些地方像是欧盟，隐私法的内容巨细靡遗，而且被严格执行，对违法的公司以重金开罚。好，我们来看一下后半句的 with hefty fines slapped on companies that break them. 那这边它使用到 with加受词加受词补语的句型，那这种句型是用来表达附带说明主要子句或是伴随的状态。其中这个受词补语啊，它可以是介系词片语、形容词、现在分词或者是过去分词。如果你想要用分词来当它的受词补语，那就要注意受词跟受词补语之间的关系。如果是主动就用现在分词，如果是被动就用过去分词。好，像课文里面它的受词是 hefty fines。 hefty 是形容像金额或是大小是巨大的，那么 fine 在这边当名词表示罚金罚款，所以 hefty fines 表示巨额的罚款。那它后面的这个片语 slap on 表示强制的增加或是强制实施等等的。那我们想一下哦，罚款它是被强制执行的，这个受词跟受词补语之间关系是被动，所以课文是用过去分词slapped 来当受词补语。好，来看个例句会更清楚。 The man sat in a chair with a bandage wrapped around his hand. 那位男士他手绑着绷带坐在椅子上，那绷带跟绑之间的关系是被动，所以我们用过去分词 wrapped 来当受词补语。好，接着补充一下 slap 的相关用法。动词 slap 它原本的意思是掌掴啊、打耳光啊、拍打之类的，那我们常常用 slap on something 或者是 slap something on 什么什么来表达两种语义。第一种是课文的用法，去表达强制增加，像强制增加额外的费用啊，或者是强制实施什么。第二种呢是表达在什么的表面上你很用力的或者是快速的涂抹，像早上万一上学来不及吃早餐的时候，你可能会随便抓一片吐司，然后快速抹个果酱就要准备冲出门了。那这时候你可以说 I grabbed a slice of bread and slapped some jam on it。 至于 slap 当名词的时候呢，也有一些相关的用语可以学起来。 slap 当名词它有果啊，用手掌打的意思。当我们说 a slap on the wrist， 字面上的意思是在手腕上面打一下，那这根本就不叫处罚嘛，所以它引申的意思就是轻微的惩罚，常常用来表达某个人他所得到的惩罚比他应得的还要轻。好，那当我们说 a slap on the back，这很好理解，你在人家的背上拍一下，这不是要吓人哦，而是去鼓励他，去打气啊，或者是表扬赞扬。那还有一个用法是 a slap in the face， 字面上是指说在脸上甩巴掌，打一记耳光，有羞辱啊、侮辱、打击的意思。例如 After all the hard work we put in, their decision to cancel the project was a slap in the face. 在我们这么努力付出之后，他们把这个专案取消的决定啊，对我们来说根本就是一种羞辱，是一种打击。好，那以上是今天的重点整理，我们接下来回顾今天的单字吧。
Developer. She is a software developer whose products are popular across the globe. Caution. Please use caution if you decide to go outdoors during the typhoon. Delete. I deleted my entire essay before submitting it. Now I have to start all over again. Enforce. A no talking rule is usually enforced during final exams.
Update. Margot updated her friends on the recent changes in her life.
Educated. You can tell by the way he talks that he is highly educated. Minimize. We hope to minimize the damage caused by the storm.
Discussion starter starts now.
Time now for our discussion starter. After reading the article, are you worried about the protection of your personal information? Do you plan to make any changes to better protect yourself?
Yeah, I am a bit concerned about it. The fact that certain apps can access my camera and take pictures, maybe of me or someone that happens to be using my iPad, like my daughter, that's a little bit alarming. So I'm going to start putting a piece of tape over my camera on my iPad, so even if I do have a bad app on my iPad and that bad app takes a picture of me, they won't get anything off of me.
Well, I did not know that apps could do those evil things, and so I will not only put a piece of tape over the camera on my phone, both the front and back camera, but I will also put a piece of tape over the microphone at the bottom of the phone so that they cannot eavesdrop into my conversations. But gee, what am I going to do if I need to make a phone call? Boy, this situation is really complicated.
Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But, as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.